The evidence-based lifting world cannot make up its mind if we should be doing a lengthened positioned or shortened position exercises. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And this is one of the reasons why so many of us who do enjoy the science, we do like reading all the science, we do keep up with it, we are oftentimes considered to be, evidence-based to some extent. We also disregard a lot of these clowns. We just simply do. The guys like Milo Wolf, I'm just not going to take him seriously. He's a clown. And it's because you have so many of these guys, they get involved in some of this little minor research, and they seem to forget what these evidence-based circles go back and forth on this stuff continually. Okay, they go back and forth continually on things like this. And what they're doing, unfortunately, is trying to give people cheat codes to simply replace hard work, quality exercises, fatigue management, right? The things that we know really matter at the end of the day. I think people sometimes obsess over exercise selection. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying once multiple exercises come in for a muscle, it probably matters a lot less than you think it does. Okay? Strength is way more specific than hypertrophy. So for me as a strength coach, honestly, there's more complexity to getting someone to elite lifts than just getting them big. Of course, getting big will also help get you elite lifts, but I digress. Back over to the other point. Things like force production, joint angle specificity, neural drive, this stuff doesn't matter so much if you're just trying to get someone jacked. So they over-focus on this stuff for hypertrophy. And the example, like the most recent thing, everything's been about lengthened position exercises and even possibly lengthened position partials by some of these guys who have no gains. I don't know why we're taking them seriously, right? When your university where you get your PhD is actually one of the lowest tier, bottom tier universities, you're in a PhD like exercise science, and you do some niche research for it that then your whole career is based upon. Guys like Milo Wolf and then all these people take it seriously. This is a problem. Okay, because here's what I'm going to point out. All of this is really impractical because no one does this. There is no true practical application to this stuff that they're trying to apply. And I'm going to explain why in a minute. Okay, because again, what we have to remember, exercise science is an applied science. Okay, what happens in a real athlete, in a competitive athlete in the real world, when you apply your hypothesis? Well, that's real important. Or I used to say a decade ago, the litmus test is a 500-pound barbell squat. How does your hypothesis hold up under athletes trying to get to a 500-pound barbell back squat? Kind of an important metric. So, I digress. Back over to the point. All this discussion of a lengthened position. Here's the problem. They were doing the same thing with shortened position. They just weren't calling it shortened position. Brett Contreras, a lot of these other people, remember everything was about peak contraction exercises. The hip thrust, the glute bridge. Oh, these are the greatest glute builders. Blah, 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 blah. And don't get me wrong, I actually like those exercises. I use them sometimes. I prescribe them. I actually have a hip thrust attachment for my road rack that I bought. Okay, I'm not against these exercises. I actually happen to like them. But if we went off the current data, they're completely useless. Oh, they don't even get a good lengthened position. Those are shortened position. All right. So we better not ever do bands or use chains or bands for anything. None of this stuff that's been extremely successful. Don't ever do a concentration curl. Why does anyone even need any of these cable things? Why do they care about that peak contraction? It's irrelevant. All you need is the lengthened position. Right? Why does anyone care about a chest fly with a cable? Just use a dumbbell. It's clearly superior using their hypothesis. Why bother? Yet people get great results doing them. You see where we're going? Maybe it doesn't matter that much. And that's the point I'm going to make here. Years ago, used to have the writers, when I was younger, over 20 years ago, they used to have this thing called positions of flexion. Used to mean if you wanted to fully develop a muscle, you needed to work all three positions. Oh my gosh. They're like, because then we get all the available muscle fibers. And tons of bodybuilders followed this concept and won pro cards in bodybuilding and monstrously jacked guys. Back in that era, focusing on what? Well, you need a stretch movement, a mid-range movement, and a contraction movement. Oh, lo and behold. Lo and behold, this is what they taught. So what do we mean? I'll give you guys examples. Stretch position movement for the chest. Dumbbell presses. Oh man, there we go. How about a mid-range movement? How about a bench press? So, all right, let's go. Let's talk about a chest workout using this concept. And it worked great. Guys promoting it were all more jacked than these clowns. What would they teach? How about you do a barbell bench press for a mid-range movement, right? There's a big mid-range movement. It's going to be most of your really big movements are going to be where those mid-range movements. So deadlift would count, okay? Then maybe an incline dumbbell press for the stretch position, again, what they would call the lengthened position now. And then you need something to contract the muscle. So maybe a cable fly or a pec deck machine. Now we have an exercise where you can really focus on the squeeze and contraction at the top. Okay? So I know you guys followed this approach and built great chests. Makes sense. A flat bench, an incline dumbbell, and a cable fly. Well, that's actually a really good combination. Works pretty well if someone wants a big chest. Right? 3 different exercises, 3 different angles. Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful. Deadlift would be another perfect example. All right. So how about a deadlift for the hamstrings? Normal deadlift. Mid-range. Then maybe a good morning or a glute ham raise or a Romanian deadlift to get the stretch position. And then for the contraction, you could do a seated hamstring curl. Person build pretty massive hamstrings in that? I think so. Or you could just do all your stuff full range of motion. Pick 2 to 3 really, really, really good exercises and just do them and not worry about this. Because it's all BS. They're going to change their mind in a few years. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the data they have is very limited. It's very niche. Not everyone agrees with it, but then they treat it like gospel. This is not something that's broke that needs to be fixed. And it's not like anyone is magically going to make more gains following it versus the other that I just said. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.